In this video, I'm going to show you how to do the level 103 in the No Safe Harbor raid with a Snapjaw fleet for minimal repair. Hey everyone, Derpy here, and welcome back to another Battle Pirates video. Getting started, the first thing you want to do is stack your ships up and then head toward the turret cluster right here. Make sure you stay moving because there is a rocket turret that is going to do quite a bit of damage to you, as well as a quote-unquote cheeseball turret, which you want to get in the minimum range of very quickly. You also want to make sure that you use your blue weapons if possible to slow down and or stop the icebreaker right here because he does quite a bit of damage. For bonus points, you can also splash out a turret. I'm grabbing the single missile turret on the top of the target because it's going to waste time to come back and get this one later. Now I need to go pretty quickly here, take down the turret cluster here before the icebreaker moves around the side. And again with the turret cluster, make sure you stay moving because there is the rockets that are going to hit right behind me here that you really need to make sure you're not taking damage from. I say as I accidentally click the mountains and end up going backwards. Now you want to make sure you grab the icebreaker, use your built-in blue weapons if possible. If you end up missing and hitting a different thing, such as that gate, it's not the end of the world. You can catch up, although just be very, very careful with this UAV here, because the UAV is actually one of the higher threat items in this target. At this point, both of the icebreakers are down. The icebreakers are unlocking, I suppose, these cold snap turrets, which do quite a bit of damage if you are going... they do quite a bit of damage to you if you let them unshroud or get unwalled, I should say. And the icebreakers are the things that do that. Once you kill the icebreakers, you can slow down and have a nice casual time hitting the target. And again, make sure you don't go into range of the UAV that I just killed there, and everything else is relatively straightforward. Now with this particular turret cluster, it might be slightly lower damage to come around from the top. I'm not going to bother doing that. I'm just going to stay moving in a straight line, see if I can kill a few of these different turrets while not really taking too much damage myself if I don't stop. Looks like I didn't quite get them all, so I'm going to have to come out for a second round. I am going to kill the gate first and then run through it, rather than try and run around in the minimum range. Also, look at that splash damage on that I killed so quickly. And of course, I made the mistake right there of going into range of the UAV. I tried to split my ships up a little bit after that to mitigate some of the damage. I think it might have a relatively low chaining range. Not sure if it helped too much. Kill the cold snap. Again, it has absolutely no threat to you now in this target that the icebreakers are dead, and now we're going to park right about here on this corner to try and avoid damage from the turret cluster closest to me. That should not really be an issue. They're both being blocked by the mountains. The bottom one right here is a little bit trickier. You're going to need to go well around the outside and just stay moving, and we're going to have a little bit of a tricky time with the second portion of this as well, because the cheeseball mortar is going to fire. Make sure you steer clear of the ice mine. I don't actually know if it does any damage, but it definitely slows you down. Now let's go ahead and get close to the cheeseball, try and get some damage off onto him, while not getting into range of anything else, such as the UAV, and unfortunately he did fire a second time there when I was very, very close to the minimum range, although I don't think I actually took any damage from that one until I went back into the range a little bit later, but that's a different story. And again, against the turret cluster, if you did not quite kill it, I have all unlimited sort of the regular blueprint weapons on my fleet, which means I'm doing a little bit less damage than most people, which is part of the reason why I have a creeping death crew on here. It helps increase the damage that I'm doing. Other good crews to consider if your flagship is taking a lot of damage would be an evade crew. I'll show you the build here at the end, but I do have a very high evade flagship on purpose because there is King Killer on high accuracy elements in this target. And Steelheads, of course, is always good crew to have. 20% damage reduction across the board is a good thing. And as well as something for combat speed, Silent Hunters is worth considering because it does reduce a lot of the splash damage taken from these rocket turrets and stuff like that, if you can't completely avoid them with mountains and with walls, like I did hiding in this corner for the center platform. Now the very last thing in this target is one last cold snap turret. Again, not too worried about this one because they don't do any damage whatsoever. Now this was not a perfect run. I could probably re-record this a few more times and try and get that going. I don't really like to do that one. I like to show you a pretty decent run with pretty decent driving. I did take some mortar damage towards the bottom of the target, but let's go ahead and take a look at the damage to the battle report and the build. As you can see, almost no penetrative damage, 4% is the sum of resisted and taken. Almost every single missile is missing my flagship completely and hitting the water behind my ships and not doing any damage. Where I am taking some damage and could use, say, more combat speed is from the explosive turrets in the target, being the mortar if I go into range of those cheese balls, and the rockets that I don't outrun or block with mountains. Here is the build I'm using for 25 minutes of repair, which is instant base repair. If you think that it's even, there might be more on the flagship, but I think it has higher repair efficiency. Regardless, it's pretty close to being instant base repair, and that's good enough for me to get the path out here. Now the flagship build is shown here. This is a U3 flagship. Most people have an X1 if they've been sort of keeping up with the PvE hamster wheel. And I have D5E armor on here, not EV, because that adds repair time, and it also adds combat speed, which would make my ship out of sync with all the other ships in the fleet. And the evade I'm using on this one is up to 95.5% before alliance bonuses and crews. I don't have an evade crew on for this particular run, but that is something to note. The other thing to note is that the X1 gives you 8 million armor points, and that's pretty significant because the Unchained Snapjaw has higher base armor points at 64 million compared to the standard chips, which you can see are 57 million. This means the effectiveness of your flagship as a king killer tank is completely eliminated by changing your regular ships to be cap 1 before the flag up to cap 1. That's pretty unfortunate, and because you cannot upgrade the flag to cap 1 before the raid ends with tokens for most people, unless you coin it, you are not going to want to upgrade your regular ships to cap 1 until your flag is up to cap 1, so just keep that in mind. The standard ships all have the same base build. I do actually need explosive battery 2 instead of this garrison battery version I have on here, just to note that one. And they are all built as standard damage ships. They should only be getting hit with explosive. So if you wanted, you could put all explosive armor on here. If you're paying really close attention, you'll see I am short several armor points on a few of these ships and have regular weapons on all of them. Obviously, I should get the armor on, and obviously regular weapons are worse than the limited legendary ones. If you have those, for sure use those. I just haven't been as into the rat race recently with those ones. If you do have any comments on the build, let me know. I'm more than happy to get back to you, and I enjoy answering questions and stuff like that related to the build for this particular ship. I wanted to show you that even without a purely optimized all X1, all legendary fleet, and without like crazy crews, you can get instant base repair, 24 minutes damage with the Snapjaw fleet and the level 103 target. I want to give a huge thank you to the channel members whose names appear on the end screen now. They're helping make videos like this one possible. With that said, and until next time, this is Derpy signing out, helping you be a better pirate.